Today, Elise is going to show us how to make a puppet theater out of a single piece of paper. You'll need a large sheet of oak tag, watercolor, or other sturdy paper, a pencil and an eraser, watercolor paints, a paper towel and water, oil pastels or wax crayons, colored pencils, markers, craft sticks, scissors, glue and a brush to apply it if you like, colored paper scraps for collage, a stapler, and a utility knife. Be very careful around sharp objects. Ask a grown-up for help. First, we're going to make the backdrop of our playhouse. We'll make several cuts and folds so the playhouse stands on its own. Begin by cutting a strip of paper 2 inches wide off the long side of the oak tag. We're going to use this to measure the other sides and to make our puppets later on. With that strip, draw 2-inch margins on 3 sides of the paper to guide your folds. Here's a template for how your paper should look. Use scissors to make 2 cuts in each corner, then fold each side towards the center. Fold back and forth a few times to make sure the paper holds its shape later on. Running scissors or a straight edge over the folds makes a good, crisp crease. See how those cuts will become notches to secure our backdrop? Later, Elise will secure the corners with staples, but first we have to design our scenery. Look through books and magazines, out a window, or in your imagination for inspiration. The possibilities for your playhouse are endless. It's time to design the background of your paper playhouse. Using a pencil and eraser, lightly sketch out your design. Elise will be coloring it in with watercolors and colored pencils. You can use paint or markers or crayons, whatever materials you have at home. If you want to try something different, Elise will show you how to make a collage and create a watercolor resist using oil pastels. Using different techniques makes for an exciting backdrop. Watercolor resist is a technique using watercolor paints and oil pastels. First, draw a picture with your oil pastels. Using a light color oil pastel is like magic. It shows through darker colored paint. The oil in the pastel resists the water in the paint. That's how the zebra gets his stripes. Collage is the process of layering pieces of paper on top of one another to create a picture. You can use colored or plain paper, cutouts from wrappers or magazines, or even hand-painted paper. Here we're using pink and green paper to make a bird carrying a little worm in her mouth. You can cut paper with scissors or tear it with your hands for different textures. Now let's make a puppet to enjoy our spring day in the park. How many puppets will you make for your paper playhouse? We'll be using that 2-inch wide strip that we cut off of our paper in the beginning. Using colored pencils, Elise draws a person to go into her park scene. Make sure your puppet is just the right size for your playhouse. When you're done coloring in, Use scissors to cut the puppet out of the paper and glue it to a craft stick handle. Now we have a backdrop and some characters. Let's put our playhouse together. Elise is using a utility knife here. Please ask an adult to help you with this step. Use thick cardboard underneath your paper to protect your work surface. Carefully make 2 long cuts side by side. This makes a long opening in the bottom panel, the theater floor. Next, fold the sides in and staple those flaps on the bottom panel. Now we have a freestanding paper playhouse. The puppeteer can move the characters around the scene using the craft stick handle below the paper floor of the theater. What kind of paper playhouse will you make? Let's watch this little puppet show about a very adventurous biker. Thanks for watching Children's Art with Elise. Let your imagination go wild. See you next time.